In the heart of South Africa, under the shadow of apartheid, a young boy named Rolihlahla Mandela was born in 1918 in the small village of Mavezo. He would later be known to the world as Nelson Mandela, a name that would become a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. Mandela grew up in a country divided by race. Black South Africans were denied basic rights, forced to live in poverty, and subjected to harsh laws that controlled every aspect of their lives. As a young man, Mandela saw the injustice all around him. He studied law, hoping to use his education to fight for his people. But the more he learned, the more he realized that the system was designed to keep people like him powerless. In the 1940s, Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC, a group dedicated to ending apartheid. At first, the ANC used peaceful protests and petitions, but the government responded with violence, arresting leaders and banning organizations. Mandela and his comrades realized that peaceful protest alone would not be enough. In 1961, Mandela helped form the ANC's armed wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation. They carried out acts of sabotage against government targets, hoping to force the regime to the negotiating table. Mandela knew the risks. He knew he could be arrested, even killed, but he believed that freedom was worth any price. In 1962, Mandela was captured and put on trial. The world watched as he stood in court, facing the possibility of death. In his famous speech, he declared, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced to life in prison. He was sent to Robben Island, a bleak, windswept place off the coast of Cape Town. There, he spent 18 of his 27 years in prison, breaking rocks in the hot sun, sleeping on a thin mat on a stone floor, and seeing his family only rarely. The guards tried to break his spirit, but Mandela refused to give in. He became a leader among the prisoners, teaching them, organizing them, and keeping hope alive. Outside the prison walls, the struggle continued. The world began to take notice. People marched in the streets of London, New York, and Sydney, demanding his release. Musicians wrote songs about him. The slogan "Free Nelson Mandela" became a rallying cry for justice. Inside South Africa, the government tried to silence the movement, but the people would not be silenced. The 1976 Soweto Uprising, where schoolchildren protested against being taught in Afrikaans, showed the world that the fight for freedom was far from over. The government responded with violence, but the resistance only grew stronger. Year after year, Mandela remained behind bars. He missed the funerals of his mother and his eldest son. He was cut off from the world, but he never lost hope. He read, he wrote, and he dreamed of a day when South Africa would be free. In the 1980s, the pressure on the apartheid regime grew. International sanctions hurt the economy. Protests rocked the country. The government realized that change was inevitable. In 1985, they offered Mandela his freedom if he would renounce violence. He refused, saying, "Only free men can negotiate. Prisoners cannot enter into contracts." Finally, on February 11, 1990, after 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela walked free. The world watched as he raised his fist in triumph, a symbol of victory over oppression. He was 71 years old, but his spirit was as strong as ever. Mandela knew that freedom was not just about ending apartheid. It was about building a new nation, one where black and white South Africans could live together in peace. He led negotiations with the government, working to dismantle the old system and create a new constitution. It was a time of great tension. Violence threatened to tear the country apart, but Mandela preached forgiveness and reconciliation. He invited his former jailers to his inauguration. He wore the Springbok rugby jersey, a symbol of white South African pride, to unite the nation. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. For the first time, black South Africans could vote. The lines stretched for miles as people waited for hours to cast their ballots. When the results were announced, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. As president, Mandela worked to heal the wounds of the past. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, allowing victims and perpetrators of apartheid to tell their stories. He focused on education, housing, and healthcare, trying to lift his people out of poverty. He served only one term, stepping down in 1999, believing that true leaders know when to let others lead. Mandela's journey from prisoner to president is a story of courage, sacrifice, and forgiveness. He showed the world that it is possible to overcome hatred with love, to replace vengeance with reconciliation, and to build a future from the ashes of the past. Even after leaving office, Mandela continued to fight for peace and justice around the world. He became a global elder, a symbol of hope for all who struggle against oppression. When he passed away in 2013, the world mourned, but his legacy lives on. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." His life proved that even the darkest night can give way to the brightest dawn. His story reminds us that one person, armed with courage and compassion, can change the world. And so, the boy from Mavezo, who spent 27 years behind bars, became the father of a nation and an inspiration to all humanity. His journey teaches us that freedom is never given, it is won through struggle, sacrifice, and the unbreakable power of hope.